mean. Okay. Now here what we shall do is we shall take two values of int a as a 15 and int b is equal to 10. So here we are checking if a is greater than b. If a is greater than b, if a is greater than b, we will throw an exception manually. Syntax is throw new any checked exception or unchecked exception or a custom exception. Listen carefully. Throw is a keyword. Okay, throw is a here it is. Yeah, throw is a keyword which is used to throw an exception manually. It is applicable for checked and unchecked as well as custom exception. Now we are throwing an exception manually. Throw new. Now we shall go for unchecked exception, that is arithmetic exception. Shall go for arithmetic exception. Now, in the arithmetic exception, in the brackets here, what we shall write is, we shall write the reason for the exception. That is because it is manually thrown. Manually thrown. What happens here is, if A is greater than B, we have thrown a unchecked exception. We have thrown a unchecked exception. In the constructor we have a written a manually thrown. The reason for the exception is it is manually thrown. It is manually thrown. Okay, so we have to throw an exception manually means you have to go for throw keyword. So throw, you are throwing an we are we are throwing an exception manually. Here we are going for unchecked exception. We are throwing an exception manually, and here if a is not greater than b, if a is not greater than b, we shall tell that there is no exception. We shall tell that there is no exception. Now you will see in the output. In the output, you will get arithmetic exception only, but the reason for that exception is manually thrown. So what we are doing is we are only throwing the exception. Okay, earlier what happens, if there was an exception, an exception type object, one throwable type object would be thrown. But here we are only throwing the exception. In that we can throw checked exception, we can throw unchecked exception, we can throw custom exception. So currently we are throwing unchecked exception. Okay, in the same way you can check checked and a custom. Okay, so what is the output here? Exception, arithmetic exception. The reason for that exception is it is manually thrown. So did we throw a exception manually? Did we only throw a manual exception? When exception manually we have thrown? Yes, we have thrown the exception manually. We have thrown the exception manually here. Okay, so to throw any exception manually, we have to go for throw keyword. We have to go for throw keyword. Okay, so this is how we will do. Now what we shall do is, now we shall learn how to create our own exceptions. Guys, we have seen many exceptions. We have seen exception hierarchy only. Okay, we have seen exception hierarchy only. Now what we shall do is we shall understand how to create our own exception, our own exception class, how to create. So what you have to do is, first you have to create one class, then you have to extend that to exception class. First you have to create one class. Okay, first you have to create one class, then you have to extend that class to exception class. So that time this class has become an exception. That time this class has become an exception. Now here, now we can throw this custom exception. Now we can easily throw the custom exception. Okay, so here we can we can throw an exception manually. That is why we will go for throw keyword. Throw keyword is used to throw an exception manually. That means we are only throwing one exception manually. Okay, by typing we are only throwing an exception. That you can go for, you can throw checked exception, unchecked exception, and you can go for custom exception. Now let us learn how to create a custom exception first of all. Okay, let us learn how to create a custom exception. Okay, now, so what we shall do is, now let us create one class. Okay, one exception driver class. exception driver class. So let it be. Now what we shall do is we shall create one class. That class name is not valid exception. We shall give the name that is not valid exception. Not valid exception. Now this not valid exception is a class. This not valid exception is a class. Now here what we shall do here is we have to use this exception. Now first of all, to create an exception you have to create one class, then you have to extend exception class. Okay, you have to extend exception class. After that you can write any method, but since we have a get message method inbuilt, so we will use that public string get message method. Okay, so we have a get message method. Now here we shall write that we shall write some data, that is custom exception. Okay, custom exception. Okay, now so what we have done here is we have created one class and we are extending that to class exception. Now since we are extending, that means we are inheriting exception. Since we are inheriting an exception class to a not valid exception, here we have made this not valid exception has one exception. Now currently this not valid exception is a child of exception class. That means this not valid exception is also one exception. Not valid exception is also one exception. Now we are overriding that inbuilt method, get message method and a print stack trace methods are the two methods which are present in a throwable class. Okay, now one of the method we have taken and we have returned that this is a custom exception. Okay, now we shall come to a driver class here. Okay, we shall take a main method. Now here what we shall do is, see here it is already a exception. It is a custom exception. Surely your compiler will throw an error. Okay, surely your compiler will throw an error. So what we have to do, while writing the instance or while throwing the instance of this not valid exception only, we will throw that in a try block. Okay, in a try block we will throw the custom exception, instance of custom exception. Throw new not valid exception of no argument constructor. Not valid exception of no argument constructor. So we are throwing an object of not valid exception constructor. Okay, now here since it is an exception and here we are not aware that this is a normal exception. This is a custom exception. Okay, so here we have created this exception. Nowhere in our Java there is no exception. This kind of exception is not there. This is the exception which we have created. Okay, now throw new not valid exception. So we have created an instance for that exception class. Now what we shall do is we shall go for a catch block, because that is also an exception. If you can see here, what type of exception we are throwing? We are throwing a not valid exception. Since we are throwing a not valid exception, the catching block also should be of not valid exception. Since we are throwing an instance of not valid exception, since we are throwing the instance of not valid exception, here we have to provide a not valid exception class to catch. Not valid exception class to catch that exception. Okay, now what we shall do is, we shall call this get message method from the reference variable of it. Okay, that is n dot get message method, and we shall tell is handled. So what we are doing here is, listen carefully, we had to create one custom exception. That means the programmer written exception. Now this is the name of that exception. It's not mandatory that you have to write not valid exception. No, you can write any name. Okay, you can write any name, but end with the exception. So not valid exception is a child class of the exception. Now we have overridden one method. Okay, after that in the exception driver, okay, in the main method within a try block, we have thrown a custom exception. We have thrown a custom exception. So since we have thrown a custom exception here, we have to catch it through the custom exception class only. We have to catch it through the custom exception only. You have to catch it through custom exception only. Okay, so this is how you create a custom exception, and this is how you throw a custom exception. Okay, so if we execute this instance of the custom exception will be thrown. Now here control will be going and checking, see if this is a exception class or not. Obviously this is a child exception. This is a child exception. So what happens here? So the control is over here. Now since we are throwing a custom exception, that has to be handled with custom exception also. Whatever type of exception we are throwing, one throwable type object will be created and it will be thrown to not valid exception type. Since we are throwing the exception of not valid exception type, since we are throwing an exception of not valid exception type, here we have to have the not valid exception with one reference. So this reference will catch the object reference. This reference variable will catch the reference of the not valid exception object. Okay. So after catching, we shall tell that exception is handled. Now here, with the help of get message, we will easily access this method. I mean get message method. We will easily access with the help of reference variable, that is n dot get message method. N dot get message method, because this is a class. This is a non-static method. How can you a non-static method? How to call non-static method with the object reference with the method object reference dot any member you can call if it is a non-static. Okay. Next, we are telling is handled. So get message method. We are telling custom exception, and extra we have added is handled. Okay. So let us execute this. So this is all about how to create our own exceptions. Okay. So what are we getting? Custom exception is handled. Custom exception is handled. Here we came to know how to create our own exception classes. How to create our own exceptions. So how to get our own exceptions is, first thing is you can create any class to create, but the extent at the last you give exception. Okay. So since we are going here, there is no inbuilt exception called for exception. This is the exception which we have. So class, we have extended the exception class, and we have a get message. We have written something. Okay, now we should go into main method, and in the type of we have thrown manually, but we have thrown a custom exception. We have thrown a custom exception manually. So here inside the try block, so this is a statement which is responsible for exception. This is a statement which is responsible for exception. Now what happens is this not valid exception will create an object of throwable type. It will throw to the reference of the catch block. It will throw to the reference of catch block. So after this catch block catches the exception, now you'll get the output custom exception is handled. Custom exception is handled. So this is how you can create a custom exceptions. I have created one. You can create any number of exceptions. You can customize it by yourself. Okay. So this is how we create a custom exception. Okay. Are you guys clear with it? Is it clear how to create a custom exception? Only one thing you exception. One class exception. Okay. Okay. So what we have to do is, see, so is a keyword. Okay, so this might sound little crazy, but here we have gone for a custom exception to the custom exception. Okay, so here we have class which is custom exception. Now since you're doing the custom exception, here will be handled with the custom exception class. Okay, the block will be executed and you will get the custom exception is handled. If you want one more example, we shall do it. So, okay. So through example, okay. So through example, what we shall do is we shall one custom exception manually. See, in try block only we have to custom exception because it should be handled somewhere. It should be handled somewhere, or else some more errors will get. Okay, so always custom exception should be handled. I mean, you have to write that in try block only. Okay, now here try in the try here we shall create we shall throw one custom exception. Now tell me one any name. Okay, any name. Tell me any name. I will make it as a custom exception. Any class name you tell. Whatever the name you want, can tell. Any name. Okay, so okay, I will take one name. Okay, fine. Now what we shall do is we will take throw new. We shall go for custom exception. Okay, custom exception class. See here we are throwing one custom exception, and here this is not a class currently. Okay, this is not a class currently. So what we have to do, we have to make it as a class. This is not a class currently, so we have to make it as a class. That is custom exception. Now this class called as custom exception, it has to extends. It has to extends exception class. Why? To behave as an exception. Now this custom exception is one exception. Okay. Now after that we can override any method. Okay, we can override or we can implement any method. So go for get message public string message method. So here we shall return the exception is created. Okay. Okay, custom exception is okay. Custom exception is created. So here you're throwing one custom exception. Throwing one custom exception. But here what happened when we started to create a custom exception? Okay, we have to extend the class with the exception. We have to extend the class with the exception, and here overriding. Here overriding a message method to get this data, that is custom exception is created. Okay, now here what we shall do is we shall go for catch block. Okay, we shall work to catch this custom exception. This custom exception. Okay, now what we will do is we shall call a method with the object reference. So custom exception is a class reference is C. So we shall call C dot get message. Okay. Now if we execute the code, we shall custom exception is created. We shall put as custom exception is created. Okay. So this is how you create an exception yourself. This is exception. Right? Everybody got it? How to create exception? Yes, we can create that also. Okay. Guys, let me know. You guys have understood how to create a custom exception? Okay, guys, fine. Now, what we shall do is let us understand your next concept, that is finally block. Okay. So, this is a beautiful block wherein it doesn't care about anything. It doesn't legally, it will not care about anything. I will. So, here we have block as, we have a block called as finally block. We have a block called as finally block. So this block, what it will do is, this block will execute, okay, with try. This block will execute with try and catch. So along with that, we will finally, along with try and catch, finally. Now here is finally block. Okay, we along with it will execute even if the exception is not. This is the criteria. So if the exception is not handled, this will surely execute. This will surely execute. So this magic. We know if any exception occurs, code will not execute. But this is a magic. Not a final block which will execute if exception is handled or if exception is not handled. Okay. Now let us see one small example for understanding this. Okay. So we shall go to our Eclipse. Okay, so let us create one class. We'll name it as a finally block. Now here, listen carefully everyone. Now, we will take one simple arithmetic exception. Okay, we'll take one simple arithmetic exception. So here, within the try block, we shall take one result is equal to 10. Okay, 10 by 0. Now, what is the exception we might expect here? What is the exception we might expect here? Guys, tell me. Yes, we shall expect arithmetic exception. Yes, correct. So, yes, guys. So, we shall expect a arithmetic exception. Now, what we shall do is we shall handle it. We shall handle it. Okay. So, arithmetic exception variable E. Now, we shall tell don't divide by 0. Reason we shall tell don't divide by 0. Divide by 0. So, what's happening here is now except handling. Line will create one prototype towards catch. This very will catch it. The prototype of arithmetic exception only. Okay. Now, since of exception we got and we'll get the output. Handling it. Exception is up handling it. Now, finally we have written one. We have written one. We can block one finally written. Now what how to do? Tell that the is any block is executed. Block is executed. So we have a type option and we have a catch block. Now we catch only. We go for finally. We should go for so exception is and not it is we get the out that 0 we have to get is executed. Let's execute. Let us execute the 0 and block will and block is executed. So is a block which will execute exception is not handled. Not you want to try catch also finally it will surely execute. The thing is how we can finally after the block you can write final block or along the try and catch you can along try you can write. Okay. Now arithmetic exception here. Since we have arithmetic exception here, what we shall do is okay. What we shall do is exercise and you get the outcome divided by 0. After that, we also will telling finally block is executed. So two outputs divided by 0 and finally block is executed. Block is executed. Now, okay, we have a exception here. So we have handled it. We shall remove. Okay. The catch block remove where we handle the exception in the statement which is responsible for exception. We write in file block and handle the catch only. So we have disabled that catch. Currently we have only tried. Okay, now your exception is not handled. Exception is not handled, but still, but you get output is finally block executed. Get output that is finally block is executed. Finally block is executed. Okay. Now, if you execute, we shall get a finally block is executed. We got exception not handled. We got arithmetic here. Finally block is always executed. Even if the exception is handled, or if the exception is handled, finally block is surely executed. So this is about your finally block. Okay. Let's get it about finally block. Yes. Did you understand about finally? Finally is one block. It will execute even if the exception is handled or not handled. It doesn't care. If the exception is handled, okay. If not handled, it will surely execute. So this is about the finally block. Okay. Now one more important thing. Will it work for check exception too? Yes, it need to work. Any work, not this. This is a you can write how many other statements you want in this final. You can write it. You can write no. Check. You can take checked exception also to do the same thing. You still that is finally block will always be executed. Finally will always be okay. What we'll do is now let us understand the differences between finally and the finalize block. Just have all your concentration here. Okay. Now. So listen carefully. So we shall now understand the difference between finally and finalize. Okay. So as we see now, we are finding some difference. This finally keyword finalize is a method. Okay. So here final is a keyword. Final is a keyword. See, final is a keyword. Okay. As well as it is a modifier. Final is a as well as a modifier. Okay, so in this final keyword, is prefixed for a variable. When a keyword is for a variable, that variable you can't reinitialize. Okay, you can't reinitialize the variable. When another variable is for a method, final is prefixed for that method can't be overridden. Can't be overridden. If keyword is prefix for a class, is prefix for a class class can't be. Guys, this keyword is variable method as well as a applicable for variable method and a class. So here variable that variable tree. You have seen this example in interface. The keyword normal variable was the final variable because we can't so what is the data because no after we can't final and then return that you can't read method. Now any method is any method which prefix can't hold it. Was maybe and that to the key. Since the method is prefix you can't override the final you can't override a final method. Go for class. If a class is if a prefix the final keyword, if a prefix with the final keyword that can't be in suppose for example this class buffer they can't be inherited. They can't be inherited. Ported, but can be inherited. Distinct classes can't be ported. Okay, so the keyword and it says the it is keyword is for variable class can be this inner task is uses of fire and modified if variable initialize variable if method that method is class this is about the final keyword. This is about the final keyword. Now coming to final is you are block. Finally is block. Okay, so finally block in the instructions instruction inside finally block will be executed. Be executed. You it's not unique study not handled. Okay. So yeah, what is the issue here? We have a block that is what happens is this block will execute. Okay, this block execute if is not handled. Okay, not handled. Final sorry execute. This block should execute. Okay, if that is handled or not handled. So this finally finally method is the method. So finalized method is used to perform a cleanup just before audits, just before garbage, just for audit garbage, garbage collected. Okay. So okay. Assume you're in your home. Okay. Assume you're in your home, and in your home, somewhere here is your room. Okay. Somewhere here is your room. Now, as you to your house, one maid will come. Okay. To your house, one maid will come. That maid, what suppose any you know already what maid do. So dirty things we are for like she want to sweep, wash everything. So the maid has come to clean your. So she will clean up all the dirty things on the floor. Okay, all the and all the chips and whatever chocolates have eaten, everything. The whole room will be clean. Whole room will be clean up if the maid cleans the room. Okay, maid cleans the room. Okay, maid cleans the room and she will put the dust in a dustbin. Whatever the things are there now, which will be there on that in a dustbin. Now, after in the dustbin, okay. Now directly a garbage, suppose a garbage comes, okay. Suppose a garbage comes, uh, here, okay. Here, suppose a garbage collector now, now, what happens? They will take like this. So they'll give one dump yard. Waste, okay. Yourself, person who leave the room and the and in this this garbage and so this process whatever happens some garbage comes and collects this process whatever the maid has is is method. Okay? The finalized method is used to clean up if the object is collected. Okay. Finalized method is to clean up just if the object is garbage collected. Okay. So finalized so why we have want the program to execute very fastly. Okay, the memory which I given needs to have more memory. Okay, so more memory is directly proportional to speed of execution. Speed of execution. Okay, less memory is directly proportional to slow execution. Slow execution. In order to free the waste memory, okay, suppose you have waste memory in whatever the memory is located. That waste memory will be removed by garbage collector. That waste memory will be removed by garbage collector. Okay. Now here, since we will take the garbage collector finally method also is there. Helps to collect all the trash, then dump it to or garbage, then from collects the and these unused memories will be okay. So three different there. Final keyword, final block, final keyword, okay. So these are the three different elements which you have to understand. Okay. Final is a keyword. finally the block and finally okay. I hope you guys got it. Last concept in exception is how you have to go for exception handling whenever your method overriding. Okay, so we have to go for exception handling. What we have to do? Exception handling is going on with method overriding. With method overriding, this real time. Okay, if method overriding is happening, what if exceptions? Okay, so exception handling with method overriding is what we shall see. Okay, see guys, I'll just tell scenarios. Okay, I'll just tell scenarios where you have one parent child class. Okay, now this F1, if a class, if a parent class method didn't didn't declare any exception. Okay, class method didn't declare any also should not declare a exception. Yes, but can okay. Remember this whenever is not declared with the exception, child method also should be exception can be declared with conjunction. Can be declared with exception. So this is the scenario. Next, if parent method the parent class exception. So child class parent class exception return method. The method and declare same and declare same or can declare or can declare no exception, can declare no or can declare exceptions. Exception. Parent class method is declaring exception. And parent method not exception, but it can declare now here parent class they have child class. Now here parent class is the second. Okay, parent class method includes the exception. Now child class declare same exception. Child class method can declare the same exception or child class, that is child class or the child class of exception. So this is a rule. Class to remember this. Exception handling with method overriding. So everybody understood? Everybody got it? About finally finalize and the exception handling with method overriding. You guys got an idea? In which case do we use finally block? See, there comes a situation when there is a exception. Okay, there is an exception. Not be able to do it. In that case, purpose you can go for this finally. Okay, usually, Varshita, just a minute. Usually, should not allow any application to work in the exception. Application will crash. Application will crash. There is an exception. But after crashing, it will someone says. After crashing, suppose we send you a message. What is that message? That message will return this finally block. That message will be finally block. Even though application crashed, any application has been crashed because of the exception, but though the application has crashed, you'll get a message that is written inside the finally block. Okay. Is clear? Yes, Varshita, you can record the announcement.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, guys. This is Vashita from announcement team. Am I audible to everyone? Okay. So, guys, here's the development requirement. So, please take a snap of this, everyone. So, guys, for first requirement, if you completed Java, Hibernate, Spring framework, so you can register. Location is in Mumbai offline interview. And for the second requirement, if you completed React.js, so you can register. So I will be sharing you the registration link for the second requirement. You can register. For the rest of two, you have to drop a message in the QTalk app, your name, contact number, along with the company code. So please take a snap of this, everyone. So I'd stop sharing the screen now. So make sure that after completing your class, check out with the requirement. If you're suitable, so you can share your details to the HR in the QTalk app to Ankita and Havinash, your name, contact number, and the company code. So after registration, you have to wait for 1 week. Okay. So after registration, you have to wait for 1 week. So if you do not get any responses, so you can call and get the update. So any doubts? Okay, so these are the update for the today's class. Thank you, guys. Thank you, mom.
What is this? But ma'am, we can't solve exception problem. So what is the use of finally block? Okay. Okay, yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Lipsa.
Yes, Lipsa.
Yes, Lipsa, what happened? Okay, no problem. Okay, so what the issue here? Okay, like, though we are not able to, though we are not able to solve except okay, the final see in real life, finally blocks are used in like okay, so this final block is for freeing up the resources. Okay, for freeing up the resources, we will use and suppose you want to go for cleaning up the code. Okay, for cleaning the code. Okay, suppose if I want to go for database connection, suppose database connection. Okay, suppose database connection, we have to go for this finally block. Okay, see See, this is safety only. This is only because see, suppose okay. So suppose there is an exception. Okay, there is an exception. When there is an exception, when you are not handling, when there is an exception, when you are not handling it, you should know that there is an exception. So that time you can go for final block executing, though is not handled, which means that there is an exception. Usually for database connectivity, you will use this and concept you learn in your advanced classes. This is a block, okay? So you learn this in advanced classes, but still, see, suppose you are closing any database connectivity, okay? Suppose any error occurred for safety, okay? You're trying to log in into your database, okay? Trying to log in into database now. So some issue has happened and you have not handled that exception. Because you have not handled that exception, instead of crashing, okay? Instead of crashing, a message that unauthorized access. Unauthorized access. So if the exception is occurring, if exception is occurring, obviously application will crash. If exception is handled and not handled, application will crash. So after crashing, you need one method. Right? I mean, you need one message. You need one message to know what has happened. So he in this will happen inside finally block can work like this. Though in handle exception, it will still give you a message. You have to know what has happened. Okay, you have to know what has happened. So if exception is there, okay, exception is there. Okay, if it is not, it comes to rescue. If exception is finally can be, but if exception is not handled also still it is finally. So this is a savior. So it will tell what has happened, like what the exception is there or not. Okay. So here you need a message. Application crashes or not, some message should be there. Okay, some message should be there. So these these things only will be learning your JDBC concept. Java database connectivity. You will learn. Okay, so don't worry about here. So finally is one block. Finally is block. It will execute. Exception is not handled. Even if it is not handled, you will finally shall be executed. This is one message will be sent to the user. Okay, whatever the message has to be sent, that will be sent, irrespective if the application is crashing or not crashing. You will still get that message. Okay, so these things. Suppose okay, for example, assume you are on a spaceship program. Okay, spaceship program. Then suppose some software, you are about to send one message to the people who are in the earth. Okay, through the satellite, you want to send a message. How you will send it? See, application has been crashed. Okay, application has been crashed. Okay, so you will still be able to send the message to the team. How? With the this Sonam, is it necessary to use exception? No, it is necessary. This is just a block, okay? It and it is based on requirement. Okay, based on the requirement, you know whether to use this or not. So finally, is you even if exception is handled, it will surely get one message to you. It will surely see guys, it's like see there has to be message sent, okay, whether the application is correct or whether application is crashed. In that situation you can go So yes, all you guys have understood. If you understood, finally block the differences and exception handling with method overriding. You guys got it? Guys, get it? Everyone? Okay. Here exception handling is not ticket handling is not required. Why? See, it is a checked or unchecked handling is required. Checked and unchecked handling is required. What you're telling here is in exception handling. This is not required. Okay, so in checked exception handling, this is not required. Yeah, I mean, if you want, you can use. It is daring. Okay, daring and dashing. It's like whatever happens, it will. There are some situations wherein if application that when if it is crashing, it is it should send a message. If it is lost, it should send a message and crash. So in that kind of situation, we'll go for this finally. Exception, you can use unchecked whatever exception you want to use it. Whatever you want. Finally, show execute. Okay. So this is how we will use your finally block. Your finally block. Okay. So guys, this is all about this is all about the exception. Okay. So main things you have to remember: exception handling, declare an exception, and how you have to know you have to draw and throw secure, and you have to know how to create a custom exception. You have to know how the finally block will execute, and how to know the differences between final and finalize members. Okay. So if any doubts, you can let know because you have completed your experiment. Anywhere, any doubt? Any doubt you guys have? Okay, first of all, you guys are going through notes every day. Very soon, within a week, 1.5 week, we shall have a final. You guys preparing for it? And after 1.5 or 2 weeks, I will not be able to see you guys because the portions will be completed and you will be going to advanced like testing or advanced development. So yes, 1.5 more, okay, 1.5 or 2 weeks. You have to complete everything. You have to study everything. Testing daily. Guys, do respond. No, are you guys studying or you're just being studying? What about others? Okay, okay, fine. See, guys, this is not my job. Like, I can just teach you and just clarify your doubts. So this is some like care towards you guys that you guys have to study and get a mock rating. See, good marking will directly impact your studying how. So what happens is, or if you're studying good every day, you're studying, it's direct to your placements. If you're studying well, a good company. If you're not studying, you'll not get an interview only. You want to get a good mark rate. See, after attend MCQ test, any doubts you can let me know. After attending the test, you can let me know. So whatever it is. Okay, studying, if I'm not studying, it's a problem. Surely it's a problem not studying. And if I start the questions, don't leave the class. Whatever comes, whatever questions I'm asking, if you tell you don't know you have to study. That's it. Don't leave the class. This is not a well behavior. Okay. Let's go next step. Daily because of another exam. Okay, fine. Okay. By the end of the day, it's for you guys. Okay, you guys have to study. You guys crack the mock. You guys have to go to advanced classes, crack the mock there also. Get a placements, get a good company, settle down. So this is the study well. If you study well, it will be beneficial for you. It will not be beneficial for me. It will be beneficial for you. Okay. So do study. Any doubts, anytime you can contact me on the Q Talk. If I'm not available on Q, you can contact me through the here at the end of the session. Suppose you have any concept, you can ask me. This as when you start studying. Okay, this will come to an existence when you start studying. Okay, so don't study every day. Just go through the concept, understand the essence. Go through the concept, understand the essence. Okay. So okay, you guys can. I mean, you can properly plan after 2 days. 2 days. So you can plan. Okay. So let's go to your next concept. The wrapper class. Okay. See till now in our Java we have not achieved 100% object programming. Okay. See, everyone listen carefully. Till here, we have done so many concepts. We have done so many concepts. Okay, but till here, we have not, we have not, we have not achieved, we have not achieved 100% object oriented programming. Okay, 100%. Oops, we didn't achieve because your Java is not 100% object oriented. Okay, your Java is not 100% object oriented. But why? Because you have a primitive data types. You have a primitive data types and a static keyword. Okay, you have a primitive data types and a static keywords. Because of these two members, you will not be able to achieve 100% object oriented programming. See, if you take a Python is 100% object oriented because it doesn't contain these kind of static members, that is primitive data types and the static members. Okay, so here Java is a not 100% object oriented, but we can achieve it. Okay, we can get it to 100% object oriented by our concept called as wrapper classes. Okay, wrapper classes. So through the wrapper classes, we will be able to achieve your 100% object oriented programming. Okay, here in one will not like like Newton here. Just we will understand how we are getting the 100% object oriented. Okay, so first of all, wrapper classes. Okay, you have to know what is okay. So you have to know what are the two data types and you have to know how you will be able to 100%. Okay. See guys, class in Java. After class in Java provides a mechanism to wrap the primitive data type into an object. So here you can convert a primitive to object. You can tell you can tell up a primitive data type into object. Wrapping of primitive data into a object. Okay, so how I shall do it? what is process called as? How we shall do it? Okay. So for every data type, there is a corresponding wrapper class present in your Java. Okay. For every data type, there is a corresponding wrapper class present in Java. Okay. Now, how many data types you have? Suppose if you have 8 primitive data types. Okay. Suppose you have 8 primitive data types. You have 8 wrapper classes. Okay. You have 8 wrapper classes. Okay. Now, we have primitive data types here. Okay. Primitive data type. So you have primitive data type here, and you will write a wrapper class corresponding class. See, testing wrapper class only will be able to achieve 100% of the oriented. Using thread, we will not be able to achieve. Okay. Using primitive data types, we will not achieve 100% oriented, but with the wrapper class, surely we will achieve. How? Because here, listen everyone, what all the primitive data types will take. Suppose if you start from Boolean, okay, char, next short, okay, next int, long, float, and double. These are the types. These are the primitive data types. Now, if obviously, the data is directly stored in this variables with this data types. Data is directly stored in the variables which is with this data types. So here you don't have to create an object. Directly with this number you create a program. Okay. Part one is all about the types. Okay. Part one is all about execute a code without creating. Okay. So here we will be able to achieve 100% type of your wrapper. So suppose you have one Boolean data. Okay? Suppose you have one Boolean data. You will be up into a Boolean. Okay, if you are having a Boolean data, you are having up into a wrapper classes. You have char. It will be converted into a character. Which is it will be converted into a character. Okay. Next, if you have byte data, okay, byte data, it will be converted into byte with the help of a class data. Okay. Data it is of short, it will be converted into a short type class. Okay. If you have an int type data, it will be converted into integer type data. If you have a long type data, you will convert it to a long type data. You will convert it into a type data. Okay. What we are doing here? We are doing wrapping. We are doing wrapping. We are converting to object. We are converting to corresponding object. You go char type data. You want to store a byte type, you can go for for long type, you go for long float, and double type data you want to store, you can go for double. So with this class object. Okay, primitive with a wrapper class object. So this process will convert or will wrap the primitive data wrapper class object called as box. Is boxing. Boxing. Okay. Suppose you want to you want to convert back this wrapper object to a primitive data type. Suppose you want to convert back this wrapper class object into a primitive data type. So this process of converting wrapper class object into a primitive data type is called as unboxing. Both are possible. Both are possible in a Java. Okay. Now let us see how boxing is done and let us see how unboxing is done. Okay. So boxing means it's not WWF. It's that means we are converting a data corresponding wrapper class object primitive data type to a corresponding wrapper class object. So this is our boxing. Now how we shall do it? How we shall do it? We will okay. See people listening the class. How it feels? I don't know. You can use it, but if you are listening to the class, since I am allowing you guys to not write anything in the class verse, see none of the like at least they will the code. I'm not even letting you do that. Attend the class neatly. Attend the class neatly. Somewhere your brain will be somewhere, you will be somewhere, and blabbering very hard for us. This is the problem. The lenience is given full lenience. And you even know that you're requesting for an audio. I will get to that. You guys are your life however you want. But I want good I want good mock ratings because I want to learn well and come do whatever you want. I will not ask you, but I will see you guys in the okay. I'll just ask you questions. Now here, yes. Boxing is the process of convert a primitive data into a wrapper class object. Okay. Suppose you want to convert this wrapper object primitive data. That is what you have to do. This is called as unboxing. This is called as unboxing. So let's understand how boxing will be done. So you can achieve through the value of method. You can go for boxing with the method as value of method. You can wrap any primitive value plus object. If I'm telling you are converting those converting the type suppose it is the form of okay the form of you convert it into a data 20 which is in the form of wrapper class object, right? That's all we're doing. The original data will not get harmed, but the type of data will be original will not get harmed, the type of data will get changed. Okay, so that is the go for the unboxing. So when boxing is the value of method. Okay, so this value of method is parameterized method. So value of you can have string in a method or in a data. You can have a primitive data. Both we can grab or we can convert all these primitive we have to achieve 100% we have to achieve we have to achieve 100% object-oriented programming. So we will be going value of method to convert or to primitive data type into a wrapper class object. Primitive data type into a wrapper class object. Okay, we shall name the class as okay. for excuse me, we shall create a package plus now class 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 wrapper we shall go we shall with the method. Now listen everyone carefully. Suppose you have a byte type data, byte b is equal to 10. Suppose now you want to convert this into a wrapper class object. You want to convert this into a wrapper class object, but how we will do it? Very simple. Very simple. That is how to you have to first take the class object byte dot value of method of variable b. Okay, so this is the statement. This is a statement wherein we will convert the byte type data into a wrapper object byte type data into a wrapper class object wrapper class object byte. So byte b is equal to 10. The data will not get changed. Actual data will remain the same. Actual data will remain the same. Not even a 0.5 value, whatever it will be, it will not be changed. What will be changed means here the type of the data will get changed. Okay, type of data will get changed. Here if it is of if the b is having the data 10, okay, which is of byte type, now it will be converted into a wrapper class object byte. It will be converted into a wrapper class object byte. See how we can do it. We have to call from the class byte dot value of method, and in that method we have to pass the primitive variable. Here we have to pass the primitive variable. So after passing, now currently if you print this, you will get the value 10. It will be in the form of wrapper class object byte. So what we shall do now? We will save it in a wrapper class object. Okay, we will save it in wrapper class object. So byte by by is equal to class byte dot value of method class byte dot value of method. Okay, just a minute guys, I'm getting a call. Excuse me guys, I just got a call, just a minute. Excuse me guys, sorry. Yeah, so what is the nomin wrapper capital letter that byte is equal to all this if or not. As I told you, this byte is a keyword and this byte is a wrapper class object. Can see it is primitive type byte an object from the wrapper class object. It belongs to number class, wrapper class, but it belongs to wrapper class object. This is an object. This is an object. This is a primitive data type. This is a primitive data type, and this is a wrapper class object. Guys, don't make data type. I said int boolean. Everything except int, we as integer. For the int, we shall take it as an integer, and for the char, we shall take it as a character. Only differences will be there. Other than that, everything will be same. Just yes. So here, uses value of method and a data into a wrapper class object. Okay, wrapping into a corresponding wrapper class object. This is covered by data. Next, we shall go for short. Yes is equal to capital 5. Okay, so we wrapper class object is equal to, we have to go short class dot value of method, that in that method we have to pass the variable. That method we have to pass the variable s. Okay, so this is how we convert data file from primitive data type to custom. This is the data from primitive to object. Then show then let us proceed towards the int. I is equal to 40. Now go for integer I is equal to integer dot value of method, and the variable I you have to pass inside that method. Variable I you have to pass in the value of method. You have to pass in the value of method, because you are converting this primitive data type. Okay, you are converting a type of this variable or type of this data from primitive data type to wrapper class object. Primitive data to wrapper class object. Okay, int is done. Next, here the data will not change. It will be visible in the same way, but data will be changed. It will be converted to byte type. You 100% object oriented, you have to even convert into data type into a wrap class object. Okay. With byte short, let us go for long. L is equal to, go for 656. Now we shall convert this data to a long hello long long data L. So this is how you can convert data 656 from long type to subject long type object long. This is how you can right? That is float is equal to 65. Float is equal to 65. So object float is equal to, okay, dot value of variable f. Variable f. Easily able to convert to 65 float to 65 wrapper float. Yes, we will go for that also. Char C is equal to any character like small a. Now, we shall convert from a character, that is from data type to a wrapper class object. From data type to wrapper class object. So character is equal to character dot method, that is the method you have to mention the but the type of data will be converted from character to character. Okay, this is good. Okay, flow done with. Next we should go for basic subnet. Okay, not for double, so go for double also. Double D is equal to 5. Now here double wrapper plus double okay the time of here it will have variable D because already okay. So this is how you should convert from wrapper class object to wrapper class object to I mean primitive to wrapper object. This is called as box. This is called as box. So it's a primitive type of value. Primitive value surrounding wrapper class object is done here. Okay, wrapping is done here. Boxing by boxing the values, primitive values. Wrapper class object is called as boxing. In long float double is shell of boolean also. Okay. We should go for false. What we should do, go for boolean wrapper object boolean b o b o is equal to value of variable b. So this will go for boolean. If boolean it will be either true, that it will be true or it will be false. It will be true or it will be false. Any okay. So here, okay, here first we have surely get the output. We will surely get the this is okay. See, if you print B or BY, you will get N only. If PS or SH, you will get if you print or CH, you will get A. If you print for IL, if you print A or LO, you will get 656 only. If you print for F1, IL 7.0 and print 5.5. I mean, if you B or B, will be 5.5. Okay. If it is false, it will be false. If it is true, it will be true. Okay. Now, okay. Now, next what we shall do is value of value of here we don't have a value of method for this. We don't know value of, so what we have to do here? What we have to do here? We can't do questioning here. Okay. Going to derivatives to any wrapper object if you're converting, you can do it. String is not primitive. Okay. So since string is non-primitive, okay, we shall take the data in the form of string only. Okay? String is equal to Mario data. Next, okay, string is equal to string dot value of so value of, okay, it is possible to do. So here object to object we are able to convert object to object. So yeah, it's okay. So string is equal to Kumari we have now we have converted into a class object. It is an object. String is an object, but still we converted the value of string. Okay, this is about your class boxing. Everybody is clear. String. Yeah, from to get string. See, after object, see, we have to go for 100% we have to go for 100% object oriented. If something is already an object, we don't want to change it. If something is already an object, all an object, and something is already in the form of object, so what we will do? We don't have to go for any other actions. We don't have to go actions. Our main is to convert type to corresponding wrapper object. To convert into a type to corresponding wrapper class object. That was our string. We are able to convert it to string type. But object to object not getting coupled to error, but giving data and the data str. Here first string is also possible. You can go to print when you go for first string. If you course you have to give the data. Course the data dot value of so the wrapper class box. We how how we but how convert them back to a statement. Okay, how to convert them okay, how to convert back, how to convert back the wrapper class subject we had no how to convert to primitive data that is tomorrow's class. Here what we have done is we have converted the primitive into a wrapper class object. Okay, we have converted primitive type to wrapper class object. Suppose we convert into a so to convert a wrapper class object to a derivative. So to convert the primitive derivative, we go for it. Primitive can go value of method and make sure you go to the concept. Okay? And once the class 16 are here, be here itself. I'm gonna ask you questions now. Okay. So till here, let me know if any guys are convert a primitive data type into a corresponding graph class object. Clear? Okay, fine. So, any questions you can let me know. Any more questions? Any queries or questions you have? Let me know. Okay. Let me ask you guys a questions. Okay, let us start questions. Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so almost all questions we have done. Okay. So, guys, tell me what is that one problem we face in string buffer? So, we had to go to string builder. Okay. What is that one problem? What is the one problem we have faced in string buffer? So, we had to go to string builder. Anyone? Anyone can unmute and answer this. Okay. Be quick. Anybody? Yes, Samiksha.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so string buffer is not multi-threaded, ma'am. So it will accept one string at a time. So, ma'am, this will be a time-taking process because only after one thread is executed, then only the second thread will execute. So it will be a time-taking process. So that is why we go for string builder, because here we have single threaded option only, and in string builder we can do multiple threading.
Yes, Samiksha. Correct. Very good. Yeah, this is the correct answer. But yes. Yes, Sanket.
Hello.
Yes, Sanket, tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Same answer actually. I was given. String buffer is applicable for only the single threaded, but with the help of string bundle, we can do the multiple threading option. So in the string buffer, only one thread is activated for only one time. So there will be the time consuming process, but with the help of string bundle, we can achieve the multiple threading. So it is not time consuming actually.
Okay, Sanket. Okay, fine. Yes, Samiksha. Okay. Yes, guys, very good. It's a good thing you're remembering. This is how you have to remember the answers every time. See, before when you're entering an interview, they'll ask you the questions first. They'll not ask you to write any code. So questions will be asked. So you should be able to confidently present your answers. Yes, this is how you have to answer a question. Okay, that's very good. Okay, so let me go for one more question. Okay, so can you guys tell me why we have to use a compare to method? Why we have to use compare to method? Anyone? See guys, we override compare to method for a reason. Yes, Samiksha?
Ma'am, to sort the array we use compare to method, and ma'am, to sort the attributes in ma'am, one attribute at a time, ma'am, can be sorted only. So we go for compare to method.
Yes, Samiksha, absolutely correct. Okay, can you tell me what method we use there? Use compared to yes, but what methods we use from one class? We use one method. What is the method name?
We use it in comparable interface, ma'am.
Okay, but in a driver class, after creating objects, we have to call one method. We have compared to method, but we have to call one method to sort all the array elements. Now, what is that method name?
That I am unable to. Ma'am, array dot sort method, ma'am.
Yes, very good. Yes,
Okay,
that itself is correct
okay,
answer.
ma'am.
So, arrays.sort method is a method using which we will be able to compare all the elements or sort all the elements of an array. Okay, compare to method will just provide the logic only, but who will be sorting actually? The person who will be sorting the elements actually will be your sort method.
Array
Yes,
dot
guys,
sort.
correct. Yes, Samiksha, correct.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, guys. So one last question for today. Okay, just a minute. Let me think. Okay. Let me ask you a part one question. Now, can you guys tell me the difference between early instantiation and a late instantiation? Difference between early instantiation and a late instantiation. Anyone?
Ma'am, early instantiation, ma'am, the dependent object is, ma'am, like it is defaultly created or implicitly created. And ma'am, in late instantiation, ma'am, ma'am, while creating the method in place of formal arguments, we give that dependent object, and this is known as, ma'am, late instantiation. And also late instantiation is done for aggregation, and early instantiation is done for composition.
Yes, Samiksha, correct. That is correct. But for aggregation and composition, we can do late or lazy instantiation both. I mean, early and late instantiation both we can do. But seeing the behavior of the aggregation and composition, we will be going for a late or lazy instantiation for the aggregation and early instantiation for the composition. For both, you can do both. For the aggregation, you can do early and late. For the composition also, you can do early and late. But you have to see the condition. Like you have to see what is the dependency of the object. So usually with the dependencies, we have uncovered that for a composition we use early instantiation because the object cannot live without another object. Okay, for aggregation, here we can, the one object can live without another object. So that is why we do later lazy instantiation, and there is a possibility of doing early instantiation for both aggregation and composition. We can do both late and early. Okay, so that is possible, but most of the time this is the scenario, so we go for that. Whatever you told is right only. Okay. Yes, Samiksha, that's correct. Okay, guys, that's it for today. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's class. Make sure you go through the concepts. Okay, so everything I'll be sending today, make sure you go through concepts and everything. Okay, yes, guys, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's class. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye bye.